Paranormies. Welcome back or welcome to the light side of the paranormal. I'm Jenna.
And I'm Alice. Today Jenna is going to be sharing with me and all of you at home an unsolved mystery. I will be reacting genuinely to this as I have not heard anything about this prior to today.
This is the Dyatlov's Pass incident. This is it for me. I love this case. I will say there is a ton of information about this, and so I have done my best to make this as brief as possible. So I might skip over some finer details. I am aware of all the details or most of the details. If I'm skipping them, it's because I'm trying to keep this as brief as possible. Buckle up, baby. I'm going to start by telling you that there is a movie about this.
Oh.
It takes its own stroll, as Hollywood does, with the backbone of the actual events of this. The movie is called Devil's Pass. This is Russia's biggest unsolved mystery, which recently has become a little bit more debatable because they think that they've solved it. I don't know about that. We'll save that for later. I got all of my information off the website, literally dyatlovpass.com. I will link it in the description below. It is the source. So this story revolves around the mysterious death of 9 hikers in the Ural Mountains on February 2nd in 1959. There were 8 men and 2 women, so 10 people altogether. They were all mostly graduate students, and their mission was 14 days long, and it was to reach Torton, I think it's pronounced, a mountain that they never actually got to.
Oh, they never made it. Okay.
It was considered a level 3, so the most difficult during the current season that they were in, which was very snowy. So the group consisted of, I'm going to name these names, which are all Russian, and I'm going to put them down here because the way they're written is probably not going to be the way I pronounce them. I'm going to do my best.
Do your best.
Igor Dyatlov, Yuri Doroshenko, Ludmila Dubinina, Alexander Kolevatov, Zinaida Kolmogrova, Yuri Krivonoshenko, Rustim Slobodin, Nikolay Brignol, Semyon Zolotroyov, and Yuri Yudin. So 3 Yuris.
Give it up for Jenna for her best efforts.
So all were under the age of 25, with the exception of Semyon Zolorgo. I'm gonna use first names, with Semyon being 38. On the second day, Yuri Yudin, I'll specify the Yuris, was forced to turn around and go back due to an illness, which is why he is the one survivor of this incident.
Can you imagine being Yuri right now?
I know, so he had to turn back because it wasn't feeling great, and he survived. They were able to track the group's route and some events due to the diaries and the cameras that were found after the incident. There's a lot of information on their 14 days, but I'm not going to go into everything because there's so much detail in these diaries. So skipping over the bulk of the days that were pretty normal, that would bring us to February 1st, the day before they passed. So their hike started that day, but they didn't make it very far. They stashed food and provisions away at their base camp and ate dinner around 6 or 7 p.m. And it was thought that Semyon and Nikolay went outside of their tent to relieve themselves because they were found to be better dressed than the others when they were finally found. Igor Dyatlov told Yuri Yudin that he expected to be a little longer than February 12th. And if we remember, Yuri Yudin was the one that went back. So Igor told him that they expected to be a little bit longer than the 12th, so when they hadn't returned yet, it wasn't alarming. On February 20th, the family and friends insisted that they be searched for. And on February 26th, the remains of their tent was found. Army, police forces, planes, and helicopters were used in the search party, and the students who found their tent said that the tent was half torn down and covered with snow. It was empty, and the group's belongings and shoes had been left behind.
After 6 days,
So,
would that much damage happen naturally outside in 6 days?
well, we will see.
I don't know. And the shoes is weird. Did they bring multiple pairs of shoes? Probably not if they were hiking.
No.
You don't want extra weight.
The website states, and I have copied this from the website because I want to tell you guys exactly what it says. The website states, investigators said that the tent had been cut open from the inside and the skiers had fled in socks or barefoot. A chain of 8 or 9 sets of footprints left by several people who were wearing socks, a single shoe, or barefoot could be followed and led down toward the edge of the nearby woods, on the opposite side of the pass. But after 500 meters, they became covered with snow. Over the course of the next days, their bodies were found, but the way they were found is where things begin to become mysterious. I'm not claiming to be paraphrasing here or anything, I've literally just copied and pasted, so. At the forest edge, under a large old cedar, the search party found the remains of a fire, along with the first two bodies, those of Yuri Krivoshenko and Yuri Duroshenko, shoeless and dressed only in their underwear. The branches of the tree were broken up to 5 meters high, suggesting that the skiers had climbed up to look for something, perhaps the camp. Forensic tests later confirmed that traces of skin were found embedded in the bark, indicating that the pair had frantically attempted to climb this tree, snapping off branches until their hands were a mass of pulpy flesh.
Oh my gosh! So they're desperate to get away from something.
Mm-hmm. The medical examiner recorded that some of the corpses had livor mortis on the front, given that such marks always form on the side of the body that has been pressed against the ground. This indicated that someone had turned them over after death.
Whoa, that's a huge piece. That's a huge piece of this.
This is so exciting. I mean,
Oh
it's
my
not exciting,
gosh.
but this is like such a crazy case.
It's so compelling.
Okay, maybe that's a better word. This is so compelling, I'm compelled. On February 27th, between the cedar and the tent, the searchers found Igor Dyatlov, 300 meters from the cedar, Zeneda, 630 meters from the cedar, and 6 days later on March 5th, Rustem was 480 meters from the cedar, and the three seemed to have died in poses suggesting that they were attempting to return to their tent. A medical examination found no injuries, which may have led to their deaths, and it was concluded that they had died from hypothermia.
Oh, from being naked and in the cold.
Rustem had a small crack in his skull, but it was not thought to be a fatal wound. A legal inquest started immediately after finding the first 5 bodies. Searching for the remaining 4 travelers took more than 2 months. They were finally found on May 5th under 4 meters of snow in a ravine 75 meters further into the woods from the cedar tree. These 4 were better dressed than the others, and there were signs that those who had died first had apparently relinquished their clothes to the others. So Semyon was wearing Ludmina's faux fur coat and hat, while Ludmila's foot was wrapped in a piece of Yuri's wool pants. An examination of the 4 bodies found in May changed the course of the whole investigation. 3 of them had fatal injuries, so the body of Nikolay had major skull damage, and both Ludmila and Semyon had major chest fractures. According to Dr. Boris Vazrodstyany, the force required to cause such damage would have been extremely high. He compared it to the force of a car crash. Notably, the bodies had no external wounds, as if they were crippled by a high level of pressure from the inside out.
From the inside. Weird.
It gets weirder. Ludmila was found to be missing her tongue. The group clearly realized their threats and did everything they could to preserve themselves. They had managed to dig out a den in the snow, lay it down with branches in an effort to keep themselves warm, but things were about to get even more bizarre. Bodies were actually found a few feet from their improvised shelter in a deep part of the ravine. Some of the hikers' clothing, 2 sweaters and pants, were found to be radioactive. Also, some of the clothes taken from the bodies underneath the cedar tree were placed on the cedar branches, but apparently were never used.
Weird.
So they took clothes off, hung them up on tree branches, but never put them on, but died of hypothermia. There's an inconsistency there, right? That doesn't really sit well.
Yeah, like why would they decide to die of hypothermia?
Exactly. Side note, I recently reacted to a video which talks about a similar incident to this.
That's weird.
Oh God. Okay, where were we?
As you saw, we had a magical song come on.
I don't know what that was about.
It was super weird.
Hey.
Let's try to get back into this.
I recently reacted, I'll put the thing here, to a case similar to this, where there was kind of like a car accident, and this guy went to a cabin, opened a bunch of food, and died of starvation. Like, there's food everywhere, but he died of starvation. They don't know what happened. He did have mental illness, but it's a really strange situation like this. You have the stuff to keep you warm, but you're not wearing it. So this website has logs from the skiers' diaries and what they did on each day, but it also has logs of what was done each day during the investigation. So official statement for closing the case given by the junior counselor of justice and criminal prosecutor of Dyatlov region. His name is Lev Ivanov, and this was his statement of why they closed the case. After all this weirdness, the deaths of the expedition members were due to a series of mistakes by Dyatlov. On February 1st, he began the ascent to the summit at 3 p.m., even though he knew about the difficulty of the terrain. Furthermore, and this was Dyatlov's next mistake, he chose a line 500 meters to the left of the planned pass that lies between peak 1079 and peak 880. So the group found themselves on the eastern slope of peak 1079. They used what was left of the daylight to ascend the summit in strong winds, which are typical for this area, and low temperatures of minus 25 degrees centigrade. Dyatlov found himself in bad conditions for the night, so he decided to pitch his tent on the slope of 1079 so as to start in the morning without adding the distance from the forest to the remaining trek of about 10 kilometers.
That's bull.
Considering the absence of external injuries on the bodies or signs of any fight, the presence of all the vulnerables of the group, and also taking into the account the conclusion of the medical examinations for the causes of deaths of the hikers, it has been concluded that the cause of their demise was an overwhelming force, which the hikers were unable to overcome. That is,
right? That's why we should keep this open.
An overwhelming force that they were unable to overcome. That sounds so paranormal to
That
me.
sounds like a tagline for a movie.
Yeah, like I need to know what it was. I have this burning inside me to know what it was.
Shouldn't that be the reason to keep it open and
Yes.
to keep digging into it?
So that case was closed a long time ago, years ago, with that being the reason why. But on March 15th in 2019, the prosecutor's office decided to undergo expedition to Dyatlov's Pass to test 3 theories: avalanche, snow slab, and hurricane. All completely scientific. And it was decided on July 11th, 2020, that it was due to an avalanche. Apparently there was enough evidence to deem it as it was an avalanche. It is now solved. It's not an overwhelming force. They know what it was. It was an avalanche. Case closed again.
The avalanche would make sense with the pressure, but not with the taking off your clothes and that kind of stuff.
But there's evidence in photos, and it has become somewhat of a conspiracy theory that no, there was no avalanche. There wasn't even a snowstorm that evening. Also, the idea of the avalanche has been a plausible theory for a while, but there are gaps in that idea. There are photos that the group took before the incident, comparable to photos of the aftermath that the search crew took, where the equipment that they had sitting vertically in the snow, their skis, was still sitting there weeks after the event.
Avalanche who?
They're still sitting straight up, and that area is known to never have an avalanche. It's a no avalanche area.
Why are they wanting to close it so fast?
I've given you the bulk of it, so let's talk about theories now.
Oh yes. Theories.
Avalanche is a theory, but the more sinister theories, one is that it had something to do with the Russian government and testing in the area, where they are testing bombs or testing equipment, something that had some type of high frequency that created a startle in them, that they had to cut their way out of the tent, created disorientation that lasted a while, and that it was closed because they just want to, they weren't expecting hikers at that time, and they need to cover that up.
That's interesting.
It should also be noted, I left it out, but this is just information that I am aware of, that the hikers did see some type of ball of light in the sky, either the night that it happened or leading up to the night, And I think other people who lived around the area as well had seen that or have seen that in the past. So that's notable as well. Another theory, yes, is aliens. Another theory is aliens. Some type of abduction or some type of contact. Something that disoriented them enough or picked them up, shuffled them around, did whatever it needed to do, and dropped them because the impact that seemed like a car accident could be somebody dropped from a high height.
That's been my theory this whole time.
Another theory is Yeti or some type of snow monster or some type of Russian monster that has come or that they heard coming, that they saw or that they were trying to hide from. They were trying to climb up to get away from something.
I guess anything's possible at this point.
Yeah.
Has the survivor, Yuri, spoken out about this at all or shared his experience?
Because he left the second day, I don't think he's got a lot to say about what happened, as it didn't happen until days later. But I know I said I'd touch on him. I think there's a few theories on the website as well that say maybe he led them out there for a specific reason, or that he had an inkling that something, whether it be paranormal or government or whatever, was going to go down, or he had a bad feeling, or he got, he heard from a little birdie not to go, so he faked an illness. I don't know. But there is obviously that theory as well.
Was anything weird or off beforehand that he noticed at all?
There is accounts in the diaries of a bit of a relationship between a few of the people, but it wasn't enough to say one of them went wild and went after them with a weapon or something. That's not, as far as I've seen. The website, you could spend months of your life reading this website. Like, I haven't gotten that deep into it.
And that was still how many pages long?
Yeah, there was a few. The movie is really good. It does take its own spin on things, but seeing that movie is what got me looking into this case and learning more about it. The movie is really good. It's got some good twists, and they give their theory on what might have happened.
I'm going to watch it with this in mind and see, first of all, see if I actually have seen it or not, because I've definitely heard of it. And also, just see what they're saying, see what's what.
It's interesting. Please leave in the comments below if you know about this mystery and what you think it could have been. And there's a lot of other weirder things. I really suggest, if you enjoy this or if you enjoy this kind of thing, this website is great. Huge shout out to them. I'm going to link it in the description. A lot of work has been done on that website. So please make sure to give this video a like if you enjoyed it, if you enjoy topics like this, if you want us to continue to make videos along these lines.
And please follow us on Instagram at TLS_paranormal, as well as our personal Instagrams if you want to catch up with us on the daily. Those will all be in the description. And as always, live your life with love and light.
And keep on creeping on.
Bye.
Bye, guys.